Here with Confetti Card Studio and another live video. Welcome along. I'm just come a little bit early so that I can check that my sound is working. So I'll just nip to the computer here and just double check that. Oh, I think because I've started early, it's not actually showing. Doing a countdown. There's always something with technology. Oh, here we are. Doing a countdown. Right, it's all working. Perfect. So it must be about 1:30 now. So welcome along and Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you've all had a lovely holiday. I had a nice break and just finding it a wee bit tough getting back into things this week. It's an exciting time though at Stampin' Up. We've got our mini catalogue that has launched along with Celebration. We've got some new online exclusives and some new scrapbooking products and some new kits. So there's lots to explore and learn about. And the best way to see everything that's new is if you go to stampinup.nz, to the main website, and just click on, at the top there's a menu, a button for menu, and then next to that there's one called What's New. So if you click that, you'll see the different things listed, but you can just go Shop All. And so if you click that Shop All button, it will take you to the store and it will have everything that is new, whatever means that it has been released. So you'll see everything new there and you won't miss anything. So I'm just going to turn around the camera. Find the buttons again. Here we go. So this is the mini catalogue and the Celebration brochure. And if you would like one of these, and I've sent quite a lot out and given them to people, but if you've missed out or you don't have a demonstrator, then just put a comment catalogue on the comments on this video, and I'll go back through and send you a message and get your address, and I'm happy to send you out both of these brochures. The Celebration works that this brochure, you can't actually buy the things in here. You have to qualify. And to qualify, you need to spend $125, or there's some that you need to spend $250 for, and then you can choose from the items in this booklet. And there's quite a lot of amazing, cute, fun, I quite love this toadstool one. And they coordinate. So that toadstool paper coordinates back with the terrific Toadstools bundle, which is an online exclusive, or it might be in the catalogue actually. Other DSP there. Beautiful heart one. So this one, to qualify for this one, you need to spend $250. But it's a bundle, so you get the stamps and the dies for that. So that's great value. And also this one here is you need to spend $250 with that one. And there's also a joining special. So if you're interested in joining up as a demonstrator, then have a read of that, and you can also ask me any questions that you have. And the Celebration promotion runs till the end of February, and the mini catalogue goes until April. Now, in my January classes, we did firstly this card, which I cased from, where's her name? Karina Chin. And she had done the card just with these panels on the front. She had a different embossing folder. And I've added the For You in the corner because most people like to have a reason, something on the card as a sentiment. So we did that one with different shades of green on the soft sea foam. And then Amy Kay, I can't really say her surname, but I think she just goes by Amy Kay. I cased this one, which is a little envelope where you just do the figure of 8 to close it. It's a little seed packet envelope with a little card inside. And this one, you can also fit a gift card in there if you want to, a little voucher. And it's just using the pretty perennial lavender DSP for that. I thought that went quite well with the herbs. And this is the one, so we're going to do another version of this card today. So I already did these 2, and this is one that we did in the class. This technique is called Retiform. And I don't quite know, I didn't look up what that means, but we create different areas and then mask each area off to do the stamping. So it's quite a fun technique, and it's really good with a stamp set like this where you've got lots of images on the same theme. So it really works well for that. And you'll see today I'm actually going to do introduce another stamp set as well for something a bit different. So that was the 2 cards that we made. And then this is the stamp set, Grow with Love. So you've got your 4 different herbs, you've got your border and some sentiments on there. And they all cut out with the dies. And the dies also have the envelope shape. Oh, I've got that upside down. So that cuts out the envelope that we made from the DSP or from cardstock. These all cut out the herbs, and then you've got your frame as well that we used on this card. So I used that frame and also this frame. Yeah, so a really useful, fun set. And then today I'm adding in elements of text because I just thought rather than doing all herbs for my next example, so these ones I use just all herbs, so I thought I would introduce some words as well just for a different twist on it. Okay, so to make the card we're using masking paper, and I've done this technique in the past and just used post-it notes, but the masking paper is quite good because it's quite long, and for a normal card front that's going to go right across and stick to my scrap paper underneath. So the one thing though is we don't want it too sticky, so what I'm going to do is just take the backing off, and you can feel that's the backing, so we'll get rid of that. And with this part, I'm going to just stick it to my clothing. We want to pick up a little bit of lint, so it's not going to stick as sticky as it would be otherwise. And I've got a dress on today, so that's nice and easy. So I'm just sticking it to my clothing, and you can, I don't know if you can see, but it has picked up a little bit of lint and lost a bit of its stick. So that's perfect. And because we're going to be picking it up and putting it down, repositioning it, so we don't want it too sticky. So my first one is going to start to the left of centre at the top and end at about centre at the bottom. So just going to, so it's not quite straight, something like that. And this is the edge here that I'm sort of I'm masking this area. So now I'll do the next one. So I just took a piece of the masking paper and just divided it into 3, I think it was 4.2 centimetres or something like that, to get it to be about even in 3s. So only tricky thing is just getting it started at the corner. There we go. And then again, I'm just going to stick that in a different place, pick up some different lint. So I did it sort of 3 or 4 times. And now we want a little gap at the top. And then this time I'm going to come right across to this edge. So I want it sort of near the bottom, but not too far. About like that. So I'm creating this triangular sort of shape in the middle. And then we're going to sponge in that area. I've just re-inked this, so hopefully it will be inky enough. And as usual, you want to start off the paper, and then I'm just going to ink inside that bit I've masked off. It's quite good, the masking paper holds the basic white in place there for me. Okay, so we don't need it to go very dark. We're just doing, but we do want to define those edges. So I'm sort of going just over the edges there. Right, so then I'm going to lift up and carefully remove the masking paper. Like I say, we're going to reuse this a few times, so we just want to be careful with it. I can actually stick it to my table here while I do the other half. Oops. It's actually stuck quite well there. There we go. Okay, then we're going to create a similar shape but crossways. And because I don't want to end up with a funny, if I put it across here, I'm going to end up with a little triangle in this part here. That would be hard to work with. So I'm going to use that point where it meets the side as my starting point, and then put it just below halfway on that left-hand side. And creating the same sort of shape with my two pieces, and I've got that gap again here on the side, and it doesn't really matter where this one goes at the top, but you want to create, a decent sized triangle over here. So something like that, and then we just go in again with our blending brush. You can use a blending brush, you can use a sponge. I think a dauber might be a little bit too intense for something like this. And then I'm just, again, doing those sort of edges because we want that well defined. So this is creating all of the areas that we're then going to stamp into. So now I'm just going to leave those on there, and we'll start our stamping, because for each area you're going to stamp in, you need to mask off the areas around it before you do it, so that your stamping is confined to that one sort of shape. I'll call them squares. They're not squares, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to go and stamp in this little part here. So I need to, there's a line down here from our first strip. So this is where my third piece comes in. Got that thing again, trying to get it off. Get it started. Excuse me. I also did use post-it notes. I found that as we get further into it, I do have post-it notes handy, because one thing you do need to watch out for is, even if you've masked off an area, you'll see there's an area up here which is not masked, but if I'm using a long stamp, it would be easy to stamp onto an area that I'm not wanting. Or down here's a good example. So if I used a long stamp, I might get the bottom of it onto that area. So you do have to just watch out for that as well. Okay, got a bit of lint. So I'm going to mask off down that line. So I'm just running this along that same line. And then in this area, I'm actually using the first lot of the words, and it is actually quite a long stamp, so I'm going to mask off that part there as well. So I've got my garden green. So the sponging was done with soft sea foam, and now I will just try and ink the top portion. So I'm using these lovely words. So I'm not inking the whole thing, so hopefully I can avoid stamping where I don't want it. And I am going to do it on a bit of an angle, so you don't have to do it straight. I don't have to do it so I get the first sentence even. I can just put, the whole idea is it's sort of part images. Okay, so then we can remove the masks, and you'll see that I've just got it in that one section. excuse me. Now, I might leave that on there and do the next one, which is next to it. So I'm trying to move the masking as little as possible. Because A, it's quicker, and it also means that, you're not using the sticky all the time and wearing them out. Okay, so this one is going to be, what should we do? Let's do basil, I think. Oops, and you'll see I have to mask off that side. So this is where you either get another piece of masking paper, or we can just use our trusty post-it note. And you can choose how you want to direct the stamps within the square. So we've got the word basil, and it's nice to see some of the words on some of the stamps, but you don't have to have that on there. But it does seem to me that it would sort of fit nicely in this direction here. So I'm going to do it on that angle. And then you will notice that because we're stamping up onto the mask, that there will be a little bit of the stamp missing when you pull the masking off. Actually, I did quite a good job at that. Oh, you can see a little bit there where it's just missing because of that ridge. So what I tried to do is really sort of press a bit more onto those parts where it is going over those masks to try and get a neater edge. But once the whole thing's done, you actually don't notice. So now I'm just going to move this mask to the edge one. And this one is going to have the little round Grown with Love stamp. So it's missing a bit there, but like I say, it doesn't really matter once you get everything on. I'm trying to turn it each time so I don't get the same part of the stamp. Right, that'll do. 3 little stamps of that. Okay, so now we've got to move our bottom masking. So I'm going to take both of them off. And then we'll see where to go from there. And if your masking paper becomes a little bit, you can see my edge is getting a little bit wrinkly, and I've stamped over it a few times, you can then just use the other edge. So we can go, so if I did that top square there, let's just do that quickly because that'll be a simple one. So I can use that other edge of the paper. And what I'm putting up there is the words again. So I do just have to mask off the bottom of that square, very important step. And I'm going to put my trusty post-it note down here just to block that off in case my words go long. Okay, this time I'm going to stamp it fairly straight, I think. And I'm just pressing into those bits where it's got the little ridge. Oops, so now my masking paper has ripped there, so I'll try it from the other angle. Okay, so that's that whole side done, so this one can come off. Right, so then we could finish the top if we go along here. It's just a matter of working around methodically And just double checking each time that you've masked everything before you stamp. So if we do this little guy here, oops, and I might just use my Post-it because I'm going to need that masking paper shortly. Right, so this one I'm doing rosemary. I just love the look of this. I think it's quite fun. And then I'm going to mask off that part and use the basil. Now I think I might just do one. So you don't have to fill each square. You can leave, I might do it on an angle. You can leave some white space, because I do find it gets a little bit cluttered if you try and fill every last part of each section. Oops, we're really ripping that now. It should, I mean, I got it to last most of the time using just the masking paper. And you might come up with a fancy way that you don't have to move them so often. Right, so I might use this as my third piece now that it's getting a little bit tatty. And I'll use this one that was the third piece as my main one. And we haven't got much to go, so we should get there. We'll do our big square here. And this one is the other. This is the mint. I think I used basil. Yes, this is mint. So this time I think I'm going to do 2 stamps because I've got quite a big area to cover. And you can even go in from, a different direction. Maybe I'll do that. So I'll get the actual word. Oh, no, I'll avoid using the word for this one. I'll use it on the next one. So we'll go in, because the idea is you don't want, it's a good thing to have a bit of the image cut off. That's kind of the look. So rather than having your image sort of in the center of that block, then I think I'll go this way and get a little bit of the word mint. But I'm chopping off that top leaf just to help with that, the look of it. I must look up what Retiform means, and I'll include that in my notes. So after the video each week, I send out the tutorial. And so you get written instructions with all the measurements, and you get a link back to the video. So you can keep that and refer back to it. Okay, now we're going to use thyme for this last square. And this is a really pretty soft stamp. I'm just using the leaves, which I can come in from the other way too. Do it upside down. It's quite nice. Oh, I've got a little bit of something there. Right, so then when we pull off the last of the masking paper, we've got our completed card front, which is pretty cool. And every time you do this, it comes out differently. I've never had 2 I've made. This is the 4th one I've played with, and they're all different. So now we're just going to come back in with the soft sea foam and just do a very light going over those squares that were left white initially. So it just all blends in. I find they're a little bit stark at the moment for my liking. You might like that look and you might just want to leave them, but it's up to you. I'm just doing a light sponging, and you can still see those initial areas that we masked off and sponged. So this is a lighter version of that. I find it just helps to tone it all in together. Okay, so the next thing is to find my other pieces. Here we go. Right, so now I'm just going to make up the card. I've got a layer here of garden green. And that just helps to bring it all together with the two different shades of green. Garden green's not a colour I use a lot, but I really like it with the soft sea foam. And then you can choose if you want to put that layer on the card base with dimensionals or if you want to keep it flat. I decided this time to do it flat. I've got a nice big border there of the soft sea foam. And then we can decorate. So in the stamp set, you've got a couple of different choices. So you've got You're on My Mind, and there's a thanks so much for your love and care, or there's From the Garden of, and we can also use the Grown with Love, that there's a circle in the dies that cuts that out. So I've actually gone ahead and made a little thing for this card. So I've got, so this time instead of just having the words and my twine, I've got a stamp of the mint and I've die cut that. So I'm going to put that on with dimensionals. So I've got some edge ones here to use. I'm using up the edges of my dimensionals. Oops. Nothing goes to waste. Okay, so I was thinking it would go, that's why I sort of did the words over here, because I thought it would go the words in the background. And then I've got From the Garden. I thought this would be lovely if you're giving somebody some veggies or herbs from your garden. Nice thing to put with it. Oh, now I've forgotten my twine. I did have a piece of it. Oh, here it is. So I think I'll just do that with a glue dot. Just put one in the middle. Oops, it's a bit further away than I thought. Anyway, that'll be fine. So I'm just going to make a bow. Just go through the dot, make a loop. Try and go with the twine. If it wants to loop that way, then don't fight it unless you have to. So I'm just making the illusion of a bow, and I'll just make sure, yeah, it's gone through the dot, so that's all good. And then I'll just take off my dimension backings. And I want that to overlap my mint a little bit, and then I've got the Grown with Love to go on the top, and that is going to go, I could just do a glue dot for that too actually. So I always take my little thing to the glue dot, and that is easiest. Because the more you handle the glue dot, of course, the less sticky it will be. So I'm just going to position that so you can still see from the garden of, and it just covers the bottom of the mint. And I've forgotten to prepare an inner, so I'll just get one here. I did put just another stamp of that was the rosemary on that one, and I did the thyme on that one. I really like the thyme. I think it's a lovely little stamp, so I'm going to do the thyme. So it's this one here, and I don't want the word thyme on the bottom, so I'm going to put it back on my scratch paper, and when I stamp it, I'll just have that off the bottom so it doesn't go on the inner. Gosh, it looks like my garden green has been used a wee bit and needs re-inking. And then I'm just going to put a little bit just from the brush of the soft sea foam behind it, just to coordinate with that front again. Pop that inside. So I just put the glue on the one side when I'm doing an inner, and then I make sure that it's straight on the top, side and bottom before I press that down. Right, and there is our third example, because I've got these two which are already different that we did in the class, and then I've got this one now which I've added in the words, and that stamp set was Elements of Text, this one here, and I'm trying to remember, but I think it's an online exclusive. It's also got these little splodges which would look great in there as well for another card. So there's so many options, and also this text would look cool too. So yeah, many different ways to do a different take on the same technique. And I think I've already mentioned if you wanted a catalogue to comment on the video, the word catalogue, and I'll get in touch and get your address. And for those on my mailing list, you will receive this tutorial and the link to this video tomorrow in an email. And if you want to join my list, then on the Facebook page, there's a sign up link. So you can just click that button and a little box will come up and you can enter your email address and everything in there. And you also, when you sign up, there's another free tutorial that you get as well. So yeah, thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you again next week.